Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kay Doran, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing, Season 2, Episode 1. This was an unexpected unfolding, but fits perfectly with the tapestry of what's been happening within me, therefore within my life, and therefore within my outcomes. Hence the new title of today's episode, which was very different from what I was going to be recording. Here's why. I was in a conversation with my producer, and of course, he'd been seeing all my beautiful new rebranding photographs, my new logo, all my up-leveled visuals of the brand that I am. And the brand that I am is Kay Doran, is me. It's me in every day. It's me in relationships. It's me in business. Kay Doran is the brand. And I've been on a journey. And I know you've all been on your own personal journey as well. And, you know, when we're on the other side of a particular cycle, we see more clearly. Things make more sense. You know, we start with that aspiration that comes from that, third component to the inner voice of knowing, power and potential. Source is calling through us. Soul is calling through us. Successful self is calling to us. And that aspiration. And then come the challenges. Because of, as you've heard me say before, we need to grow into energetically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically expanding our capacity for more, becoming that very self that lives in those outcomes that we have aspired to, for you to see the result on the movie screen called your life. It's powerful stuff. And this is why I do the podcast. This is why I do the work that I do, because I'm all about teaching my shamanic wisdom, principles, practices, ways of being that have guided me through up-leveling, transformation, if you like, expansion, doesn't matter what word you want to give it, rising like the phoenix, going through alchemical moments and transformations. This is how I live my life. This is how it's worked for me. This is how I've shared it with so many others and seen it work for them. All by understanding the landscape and the language of your mindset, of your emotions, of your energy, applying all this spiritually to become the leader within your own life, guided by the most powerful force that there is, your inner voice of knowing, made up of those three components: source, soul, successful self, leading you through a leadership life where you are in the driver's seat. But the growth process, the cycles are involved. And how fast we move through those cycles to consciously craft and create and then live that which we aspire to. You could call it masterful manifestation, but I prefer consciously crafting and creating. And in previous episodes, you know why. So I had the calling after downsizing my business and following the calling after 20 years of being in my business, of being my brand, and following that GPS out into the world, taking my skill sets that I'd had since I was 25, well, all my life, but consciously working with others and being there in this capacity, and going out into the workforce and taking those skill sets and seeing what I could do with them. It was terrifying. It was frightening. I ended up in management and developing very fast. And, you know, my husband always says you condensed into 10 years what people have done over 30, 40 years. And I had challenges. I had some major challenges. It was bullying within the workplace, from teams, from managers, from upper management. It was my season of learning, which is what I'm impassioned with now, is, you know, the energy work and the energy concept of being soul and energy first isn't just about your life, and business is your life. Your professional life is still part of your life. And I lived the application of working with energy in a very physical environment, a very professional environment of working with teams, being managed by others. Remember, I'd had 20 years of having people seek me out to want to work with me. They wanted to grow and change and deepen and expand and become more of the leaders within their own lives. This rude awakening over 10 years or so, where this constant rock of denser vibrational experiences challenged me, trained me on bringing everything that I had worked with within my life as a shaman and understanding of energy into those environments. To not be the victim to the bullying, to work with the energy, to go, I will not receive these rocks. I leave them with you. I build my feathers. The clarity is so clear now. It comes in pieces like a jigsaw puzzle, a 300-piece jigsaw puzzle that over time, with more and more growth, oh my gosh, that picture becomes clearer. I feel like I've put the missing piece into that puzzle. In a way, it's only even really coming to me here and now, just how powerful those 10 years were, just how purposeful those 10 years were, just how masterful it was in me constantly coming back to my energy work, those shamanic principles and universal laws, if you like, and the application of those, and then the diffusing of the need for those bullyish experiences that led me back to where I am now at a whole new level. Life is cyclical, it's seasonal, you know, summer, autumn, winter, spring, and it's all wrapped around like a beautiful package with purpose. Changing the lenses that we look through. Going through those, sometimes what feels like trials by fire, trials by water, the emotions, the transformation, the testing. Feels like testing, it's really opportunity. It's really the language and the landscape saying, understand that you've had these deep callings, these deep held soulful aspirations that you just don't speak your way through. You don't just say, this is what's going to happen. You grow into it in order to become it. Life will reflect back to you where you most need to learn, what you most need to see and recognize, and what you need to bring into that inner world in order to change and up level. Sometimes that's fast, but usually a cycle has a season to it. And accepting and understanding that landscape and the language of what you're traveling through. So I came back to this, rebuilding the brand of who and how I am, facing new challenges of learning technology in a whole new way when I'd been in my business before from the age of 25 and, into my 40s, mid 40s. Business cards, brochures, get out there networking. Suddenly it's Facebook, Instagram, social media, technology. There was a whole new growth and learning and a level of investing in that learning and investing in myself. And I don't use the word spending because I invested that money. And what you invest, invested wisely, will grow with interest. That's how the energy flows. And then in the last 2 years, so learning, and then what once felt so incredibly uncomfortable, and having to learn to reach out to people for help, not just those that I were investing in that knew more than me, that could teach me and educate me and show me what I needed to do, what I needed to create, who I needed to become, how I needed to become. And as that integrated, and during that process, reaching out to others for support when I would get stuck. The things that once used to completely stress me out don't, because I have changed and up-leveled from within. Now, remember, the change and the up-leveling comes in a whole season. So changing and up-leveling the mind and the mindset and unmasking those unconscious false stories and beliefs in order for you to be able to reprogram, build a new program, align to a more expansive program that actually already exists within you, because it exists within you by tapping into the power source, your inner voice of knowing. Source, soul, successful self. And bypassing the illusions of those false stories and beliefs that have become intrusions. Unmasking, remembering. Okay, because you're not broken. The journey is just the remembering and the peeling away of that sticky spider's web of illusion that's become an intrusion. So the challenges come. Then my personal aspirations have been so vast and so soulful in the ways that I feel called to be of service through my brand, through my business, through my personal life, in every area. That's a big calling. Therefore, that's big change, big growth, changing and up-leveling a new level of mindset, traveling that emotional terrain and understanding the language, and that knowing that every challenge that came was an opportunity for me to be more of that successful self that called me, to expand the capacity for more in mindset, emotionally, energetically. If you call something in and you haven't expanded your vessel, you haven't become strong and grounded in all those areas, it makes me think of the story, the big bad wolf. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. I'll blow your house down. We've got to build those solid foundations, those solid walls, that solid platform, and launch and relaunch into ourselves and up level every step of the way. And that's what's happened for me. In amongst all those opportunities that were under the banner of challenges that have happened, that were designed perfectly for me to achieve my aspired outcomes, faced with being soul and energy and understanding that first and foremost, and recognizing as I start to come out the other side, yes, I needed to do that mentally, emotionally, and physically for me to be at that capacity energetically. Before I did my rebranding, before I called that in and then that opportunity landed, and at that time, that opportunity landed. I'd written about it 2 years earlier. I'd spoken about it the night before it landed, and it landed in the perfect time and in the perfect way that felt challenging with an element of fear, an element of leap. So I knew it was the right time. So remember, the right time doesn't always feel like it makes sense. We need to trust that inner knowing again, guiding us, aligned through those moments. Hence, all the soul and energy first, because the more we're facing life like that, the more we're staying attuned to that power of that inner voice of knowing, that guiding light voice, signs, knowing. Because remember, source needs us to be certain. Certainty leads to that knowing. We don't need to know the how, we need to get out of our own way. We need to start thinking from the heart and feeling with the mind, because when we think with the mind, we get in the way. We think we can't afford. We think it's not the right time. We think it doesn't make sense. We think from ego and from limiting false stories and beliefs. If we think with the heart, which to me is the way of saying if we think, respond coming from that inner voice of knowing, power, and potential, universal laws involved, if you like, alignment, from faith that becomes knowing, and building that certainty that becomes knowing. When we get into that space where we're so immersed in it that all we feel is it's already there, we're just waiting to physically catch up to it. That's upleveling, that's expanding. That's trust, that's surrender, that's letting go, but it's knowing. And then feeling with the mind is that deep questioning. Okay, what happens if I say yes? Not in fear, from knowing. What if this works? Source, show me. Show me the sign that I'm in the right direction. And boy, do they come not only from your own inner knowing, it might be an oracle card. It might be a friend that comes and says something. And then it leads you and has led me to this place of where I am today doing a season 2, rebranded. I've never felt more my next level self visually from what I've been feeling internally. That feeling of rising like the phoenix is that final phase. And so talking with my beautiful producer, Shane Bryan, who's actually on as a guest in the next episode, and you do not want to miss that one. I'm not going to give anything away, but boy, you do not want to miss that episode. There was the discussion about how amazing the visuals are reflecting back who I am, how I am, and how I work, and the energy of who I am. And I'd initially thought keep the same tile. It'll reflect that it's my podcast. And I was thinking with my head, not my heart. But I also had questioned source and soul. Is this the decision that's coming from my deepest soulful self? Or am I just thinking my way through this and thinking logically that these images will stand out from the new branding images? And source, soul, successful self answers in a conversation where everybody is contacting me saying how much they love the rebranding, how powerful and beautiful it is. And then my friend and producer, or now friend, started off as producer, says, "You have up-leveled, Kay. I recommend you consider starting a new season. You've been doing this for 2 years. You've up-leveled. Your branding has up-leveled. Inner Voice of Knowing podcast needs to reflect that up level." And I felt it pounding, that knowing in my heart. And I felt excited because I'm a new energy. Therefore, I'm bringing a new energy to you all, to the world, to my clients, to my friends, to my family. I am not the energy and the woman of who I was last year and the year before, and certainly 10, 20, 30 years ago. I feel renewed, like the new version that I've been aspiring to, matching the vision, thought, the feeling, listening every morning, asking, what would my successful self do? Listening and trusting my inner voice of knowing, staying aligned with my shamanic ways of seeing, receiving, and moving through this world. Deepening the understanding of, am I coming from soul and energy first, so that I can move through this physical world and recreate the movie screen called my life to make it match that which I've been aspiring to, that I have now become, stepped into. It will be lived, and this cycle will eventually change again to up level. This is why my program, the launching pad, is called the launching pad. Someone said to me the other day, "Oh, so is that for new people starting out?" No. I've had entrepreneurs come and work with me that have been in their businesses and up-leveling and relaunching 15, 16, 17 years because they understand what it takes. These are the cycles and the seasons that we go through. As we up-level ourselves, to up-level our life, to up-level our outcomes. The only shortcut that's involved with this is how swiftly, how consistently do you apply the principles, the truths, the understandings, the shamanic insights that I've been sharing. Now, here's the thing. I had a conversation with someone else the other day as well, and that was, I too still go through what you're going through now. However, when I first started, this is what I would do, and this is how long I would do it for. This is how long it took for me to shift. Then it became more integrated, more aligned. Now, I can process something like my fears standing on a beach like I did for my rebranding photo shoot when I was asked to climb over some rocks and get up on a cliff because it would make an amazing photo. The left knee is not great. It's bone on bone. The meniscus is gone. It can lock up. When I bend it too far, it can be painful and it can just give way at times unexpectedly. So for the first time in my life, there was this real hesitation. And as a beautiful friend, part of Girl Director Academy, Michael Holt, love to you, said, I will go and I will have a look and see how doable it is for me and come back and let you know. And during that 3 minutes, I processed. I defused my fears. The very process I have, the free PDF on my homepage, I did it internally. And in that, I cleared myself back into my inner knowing that said, hell yes, Kay. Just as Michael came back and said, you can do this, Kay, I will help you. Once I was up on that cliff, so proud of myself, and it was incredibly uncomfortable, a little bit sharp under one foot. The photographer asked, can you move further to the edge? And in that, my knowing said no, because if my knee gave out, I would be over. All these processes that align us energetically, soulfully, that guide us. So the more that you master and deepen what you bring to the challenges around you that are your opportunities, that are reflecting back to you most what needs to be cleared in order for you to be energetically expanded, for your vessel to expand, and for your whole vessel to be grounded and strong, for you to launch in that reality. So it made sense, given the past 2 years and the growth that I've been going through, to bring my new branding, to bring a new season, to bring a new energy, to bring a new sense of self through my podcast, Inner Voice of Knowing. So I'm really looking forward to you continuing this journey with me. I'd love nothing more than for you to reach out and let me know what you've been going through. Where are you up leveling? What do you want to hear in these podcasts from myself and from my guests? And if you haven't listened to all 41 episodes in season 1, oh my gosh, do. The journey, not just with myself, but with these incredible people that I bring on, offer power and insights that will answer you, that will support you along the way. So continue to join me. If you know people that want to join this energetic amplification as well, let's uplevel and continue to uplevel individually and collectively. Thanks for being here. And if you do want to know more about the Launching Pad program, just reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. And remember, if you go to the homepage on my website, kaydoran.com, KAYEDORAN.com, for free, you can download that 5-minute process, Defuse Your Fears. It is powerful. I still clearly work with it. And those that I work with and friends are constantly letting me know how powerful it is too. Simple as everything is that I work with and that I teach and share, and profound. Thanks for being here. Catch you on the next journey. Join me on my next episode. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify, rate and review, and please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.